This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast.
On this week's episode, we talk about secure connections versus secure attachments in the dating world and when you're starting to court someone. And this is fun. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? The website OMGYES, which is a vulva-centered website. And here on the Partnership Podcast, we are huge fans of the vulva.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Okay, how you doing?
What's wrong? Or what's up?
Everything's fine.
Okay.
What's going on with you?
I don't know. I feel fine.
Good.
We said on some podcast recently, we're just so, I think it's a blessing and a curse of us. If somebody's energies are slightly off, we can tell, and there's no space to hide. So if you would like space to just sit with whatever, then I don't need to pry in, but I always want you to know that you can share things.
Thank you.
Yeah. What would you prefer today? To share things or just to hold?
I got nothing to share.
Oh, okay. I just feel like there's something right here. Like you're a little frustrated with something.
The technology.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Y'all, we have a fancy clock that counts down so that we don't have to have a timer go off. And for some reason, the battery just stopped working on our remote. Hard times in the home studio. I thought we could talk about two different things today, but you tell me what you're in the place to do. Number one, we had a fun date night with friend Elle last night. Shout out. And
I still have the same t-shirt on from last night. Shout out.
You were wearing a sweatshirt over it. So
I
never
you're right.
saw this.
You're right.
Yeah. So
should we start over?
Yeah. Let's not talk about our fashion faux pas on the internets. And we started getting into a really interesting conversation that I really have always wanted your opinion on. And this is the idea of, casual sex with secure connections versus not desiring to develop anything more versus when human beings get into, casual sex encounters and then one person wants more than the other. And so we could talk about some of that if you want.
That's right. We were talking about that last night at the bar and what's the difference between, or what do men want? What do women want? How do you communicate that? Or even two people. So what do two people want? Does one person want to keep it casual and fun and maybe date other people where the other person wants to kind of be more committed, more monogamous? Yeah.
Yeah. So we can push into some of that. And
I'd
then
like that.
Another thing we've been talking about is watching porn together and or watching OMGYES together because we had a little fun time this weekend. And it's something that we've wanted to do for a really long time, that I've wanted to do at least. And it was so beautiful and gratifying to us, but I could understand even while we were in the moment watching some of these incredible videos linked below, that it could be uncomfortable for some. So I also thought we could push into that as us and talk about what was good, what was uncomfortable maybe, and all those kinds of things.
Sure.
So are those okay topics to talk about today? What do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about casuals.
Let's
talk about dating multiple people. Let's talk about what we talked about at the bar.
Because why I'm fascinated for your opinion on this is that you have done so much work recently on attachment theory.
Yeah.
And we have words now that we have never had. We feel like, oh my God, we have terms for all of these things. And I don't know about you, but I am feeling an appropriate amount of guilt for some past behaviors where I didn't have the words to clarify what I was seeking or not seeking, what I needed or didn't need. And not shame, but some guilt over, that's what I was looking for. And I didn't have the words to say that, or that's not what I was looking for.
What's the guilt, baby?
Over, I think there was so from my end, I think there were some casual sex partners that I had that I would have fully enjoyed more relationship with. And also, I was not at a place yet in my journey of healing where I had a secure base within myself. I got there. And that's when I met you, which is just so funny. I was like, let's see. I don't know. I was so secure in myself by the time I met you. Beautiful. And we have continued to pledge to do that on our own. And So one, I think I was looking for some secure attachments with some of the folks that I casually dated. And then with others, I think I wanted secure connections, and they weren't even willing to provide that.
Can you define secure attachment versus secure a connection?
A secure connection would be you show up where you say you're going to show up on time. You provide what you say you're going to provide. You build the necessary structures for a container of connections. But you're not providing constancy of relationship to a person. You're not providing good morning, good night texts, these types of things. When you are with the person, you are with them. And you are true to your word. And you do ask questions when you're with them. They matter. The human being still matters. Secure connection. Secure attachment, in my own verbiage, and I'd be curious if you'd define this differently, is I'm showing up for you outside of the times we are together. I am invested in your well-being as a human, and I want to provide things for you. I would say provide partnership, right? But some level, I think it could have varying levels of depth, some level of consistency over time. When we're apart, I still check in on you. And I think that that looks more like a traditional relationship for so many people.
Are the relationship boundaries defined within both of these, and also secure base that we've been learning about? Like Lauren and I, this is my first wife. Lauren and I are second husband. We're secure bases.
Yes.
Where it's like we're really into this whole relationship thing.
Yeah.
Make sure and like and subscribe.
And I choose it.
Okay, so our boundaries and our guidelines clearly defined.
Yep.
What about a secure connection and a secure attachment? And also, now what's the difference between a secure attachment and a secure base?
I think that it's like a reverse umbrella, right? I think that if you are a secure base and a safe haven for my precious partner husband here, that is what I would like to be. I would like to be your safe haven. I would like for you to come home to me. And I would like to be your secure base where I send you out to play and where you still come home to me. That's what I desire to be for you. I think that secure bases and safe havens are, by nature of what they are, a secure attachment. Boom. And a secure connection. I think it's like a pool. I think we're everything. I think we are all of those things to each other.
In my mind, I'm looking for almost like what are the big differences?
Yeah, so I'm getting there. So yes. Now, I think that we can have secure, some of the best ways to put it are a friend, C in the city, who I call cousin C in the city. We see each other every few years. Mm-hmm. And yet we'll rattle off a text to one another. She sent me a photo yesterday, literally, and I had just been thinking about her, of me standing on an opposite subway platform. We'll just send each other photos. We could literally just pick up right where we left off. But I am not in her day-to-day life.
Okay.
I don't know
and
all
you guys
of these
aren't
things.
romantic with each other.
Not
you guys
at
aren't
all.
Intimate. Well, in that
we have
sense
a secure
of
connection.
Yeah.
We could always just, she knows I have her back. And also in the same way, if she sent me a text and was like, I need you, I think I'd probably get on a plane or a train.
Okay, so my best
Secure
friends,
connection.
like back in LA, they're my secure connections. The guys, my best friends that I've known for 20 years, they're defined as secure connections.
You're not picking things up from the grocery store for them. You're not checking in on their sick toddler.
Yeah.
You're not, and yet you're there for them.
Yeah.
Connection.
Check-ins are cool.
You
but
do, and that's what I do with her too.
One of the most intimate things to me, as far as like true intimacy, is taking care of and being taking care of someone when they're sick, being taken care of when I'm sick, which is very vulnerable for me, asking for help. I don't know, poop jokes. Mm-hmm. You know, say when one of us poops with the door open. Those things are very, very intimate to me. I have a very different definition of intimacy than most people would.
Yes, you do.
I mean, sex is nice, but that's
Have you tried?
that's fucking intimacy. So that would be more of a secure attachment. These type of intimate things, or traditionally boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner.
Yeah, I think so.
Boyfriend,
secure
boyfriend,
connections, you're not showing
girlfriend,
up
Partner.
for the things in a regular way. Secure attachment is you are looking to, there is expectation that, this is my own definition. Again, please define in your own words. Certain things that lead to stability, security in relationship. That might mean taking the car to the shop. That might mean picking up groceries. That might mean more of these things that we define. Check-ins, dates where you sit and say, work on books together. Like,
Babe, I'm doing a check-in. I'm smoking weed in the shed at 9:30 in the morning on Monday. Just a heads up. I'm going to be high as shit today.
Sure.
Yeah, that was my yesterday.
Your definition of
that was my yesterday,
yes,
but that's a.
I agree, because my well-being matters to you.
That's
exactly.
a trust thing, and I don't want to hide that from you or anything like that. Just a heads up, I will be getting high in the shed.
Yes, you did this exact thing, and I was like, "Go for it, baby!" Right?
Stunk.
Yeah, and I was like,
so high.
He's going to regret this the moment he does this.
I ate too many granola bars. It was terrible.
But you know what? This is a random tangent. Good job on old Trey, like literally a year ago, would have gotten so frustrated at himself. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you really felt. But to me, I saw grace, and you just kind of rested instead. I've seen you then, the inner critic gets so loud that you can't turn towards yourself with compassion. Mm-hmm. And in the book that we're working through, this T of the heart's theory is turning towards. And she talks about when we do something that we kind of regret, how do we turn towards ourselves with curiosity or with criticism? She literally says that. And I was like, we just said that.
Cool.
That's our line.
Love it.
But way to turn towards yourself with curiosity and compassion as opposed to as much criticism as I used to feel come off of you.
Okay, enough about me. Let's get back to our viewers' problems. So, so in relationship, what happens if somebody's at a different level or if they want different things?
See, and this is what I just always wish I had the understanding of. I guess in my mind, with my purity culture upbringing, if you were sleeping with someone, it was a shoo-in that you would also provide them with secure attachment experiences. That is not the case. People didn't just give me their penis and then they were signed, sealed, and delivered.
Well, also in your purity culture, don't you have to get married before intercourse?
Yes, but somehow in my mind, and I have seen this with many clients too, intercourse, penetrative intercourse equates to now you want to provide me with all these secure attachment.
You're my girlfriend now. Yeah, I don't have sex with anybody that's not my girlfriend.
See, this is why I'm
You're
feeling guilt
now.
because I'm like, oh, I thought that I open my legs and I get secure attachment.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did that thought just fly away?
Over the past 2 months.
Okay.
Right? With the words, I finally have words for it. Remember how we've been talking about how I realized how many needs I dismissed. Mm-hmm. I think I got to a point where I was like, where it first changed was Alison Armstrong's work of when someone tells you what they are or not willing to provide regarding partnership, you must believe them because they are in a space developmentally that you are not. So I think I understood, oh my goodness, I could have beautiful encounters with someone, sexual encounters with someone, and they could be at a different place developmentally. And so that's okay. And I think I did release that. So I'll give myself a little more credit back in 2018, 2019, 2020. Oh, I was already with you by 2020. But why are you shaking your head?
Keep going.
But now I think I'm like, oh, sweet Lauren was just looking for secure attachment because she thought, it's hindsight's 2020, right? I give you sex because purity culture upbringing, then you provide me secure attachment because I had never learned how to state that I needed and wanted these things. And so now I wish I could go back and give Lauren some more tools, which is why I love what I do today, to be like, hey, you deserve secure attachments. So where are you finding those? Are you securely attached to yourself? Are you actively saying, okay, you know what? This could just be a secure connection, this casual hookup. Or, you know what? The reason this casual hookup wasn't even good for me is that it wasn't even a secure connection. And it's okay. Mm-hmm. We can call it what it is.
Yeah.
And be like, well, that's why the sex stunk.
Yeah.
And just have the terms for it. Mm-hmm. Not feel bad about myself. Not, I misjudged. No, sometimes you can't learn things unless you go through them. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of enjoying now. When I say guilt, I only mean, wow, it would have been great to have this thing. Kind of going back through the scrapbook of my life, being like, oh, that's what you were looking for, sweet girl. There's no shame. But look what I found. I love you.
I love you too.
Yeah. Okay. Those are my silly definitions. How would you define the differences between secure connections, secure attachment?
Cool. Secure attachment is like in a relationship where we've talked about it.
Okay.
Do you want to be together?
Do you want to be my boyfriend?
Whatever that looks like, whatever kind of relationship structure you're in, but it's like there are more guidelines versus secure connection is we enjoy each other's company. And I'm speaking romantically now.
Sure. Like
where we enjoy each other's company, we both show up for each other, we both have intentional time together, and then we have intimate romantic time together. And maybe, that when you form a solid secure connection, it's a lot more likely that you're going to form a secure base or secure attachment, which are, let's just use, let's use secure attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where I wanted to push in, is that, do you think there's a tipping point where enough instances of secure connection makes romantically, sexually, start to make someone hungry for secure attachment? Or
Absolutely.
Okay, why? Yeah, from your vantage point.
I mean, it's like the progression of things.
Okay.
It's what we know, like in at least American society.
You're right, an escalator, like that relationship escalator.
Absolutely. And people want certainty and they want security. Yeah, makes complete sense. Oh, and then there's probably something else that not a lot of people want to admit, where it's like, I don't want this to go somewhere else. I want this for me. So it's almost like a acquisition of resources as well for both sides.
I agreed. And I think for most of modern history, we have seen relationships as almost an extension of, this is my property.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, not as much now, but like, back in the...
I mean, not long ago, though.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you needed people. Like, you literally needed people.
Yeah. Okay, so now you take the scrapbook of your life out. I hand you
Thank you.
your scrapbook.
Cheers.
You got it.
Oh, yeah, pardon.
Thank you.
I love it.
You're an actor.
I love it.
Oh, look at your life. Tell us some stories of secure connections, because you didn't have these words until recently either. And what are there certain relationships with individuals that you do think you had secure connections with, and that's it? Were there ever times where someone was looking for more of a secure attachment, and now that you have the words, you're like, oh, that's what they were looking for? Were you ever looking for a secure attachment with someone and they weren't interested? Go.
Secure connections. Yeah, I had a quite wonderful relationship where she was dating other people and I was dating other people, and that was talked about pretty early on. So we would get together maybe every 2 weeks or once a month. We'd go out to dinner or we'd do something fun, and then we'd sleep together and spend the night, and then we'd go our separate ways, and then we'd call each other a couple of weeks later.
Did you talk at all in between those times?
Occasionally, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
but like it wasn't every day, it wasn't every other day. It was more of it was quite lovely, where it's like, let's save that and set an intentional time where then we can connect and kind of catch up.
Secure
so we
connection.
had that.
Yeah.
And I've dated women where we had secure connections, and it was like a lovely secure connection. And then she brought up like, hey, where's this going? Or it's like, I don't really want to share you. And then I had to state my truth of, I'm not really interested in being exclusive right now. And she was actually out of state. So she would come into LA for business, and then she'd start coming into LA for pleasure. And yeah, she'd start coming into LA like a lot. Like she'd want to be here every weekend. And I was working for the teams. I was in sport at that time, where that's 6 days a week. So my free time was I really had to guard that, just like being by myself or making intentional times for like my buddies or doing the things that I wanted to do versus dating a woman, which you have to be intentional, and it takes energy. You can't, hey, do you want to come over and play fucking video games? I don't do that shit. So, or do you want to come over and watch a movie? That was for my early 20s. I know better now, where you take a woman out. Excuse me. So yeah, it ended eventually. Yeah. And it was a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
She was just a stunning, high value woman.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have valued it more, actually.
That
I wish I
this
would
is-
have valued her more. Not saying like, hey, I want to be with you and I kind of want to acquiesce to what you want, because that wasn't my truth at the time. But I wish I would have valued her more and treated it more differently. But also at the same time, I didn't have those tools. And brutal honesty, she was starting to get needy, and that was a big turnoff.
Well, this is where I wanted to bring in the things that we're learning, though. Was it needy, or did she also not have the words to say,
She didn't have the words.
I would like
It came off as needy.
Right. Because it's interesting to hear you say needy, because that's the exact thing I was afraid of men saying. And so that's exactly why I learned to dismiss my desires for secure attachment.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's a fear of mine. Like, I don't ever want to be needy in your eyes. It's very scary for me.
and I think now the healthier, more evolved understanding that I have now is, I'm just learning how to be a secure base in and of myself. It is not that I am dismissing needs. It is saying, oh, hell yeah, you got needs, girl. And it is your responsibility first and foremost to know how to meet them yourself, because that cannot be Trey's job. You can ask for some things, and some things he will be delighted to provide for you, but joy in your work, rest in your week, pleasure, touch, all of these things can't be his only job. That's why I get massages. That's why I have a vibrator. That's why I get sleep. That's why I hermit on the weekends. Not your job. Not your job. But interesting that you say needy. How did that show? What makes you remember it? Because your face literally changed. What felt needy to you?
She started to show up like every weekend, and like she lived out of state. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But so how am I not needy? Because I show up every day. I'm like, good morning.
How are you not needy?
Yeah.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Am I needy? And is that okay in my instance with you? Or
Yeah, like you have more grace than anyone else on the planet.
oh, thank you.
You're welcome, first wife. As far as no, I don't. No, needy.
Yeah.
No, I don't perceive you as needy, honey.
I think I'm just trying to figure out the difference between she would show up every weekend.
It was starting. It
And
felt pressure to hang out a lot. Where it was just.
Interesting.
It just became too much.
Yeah. And I think, gentle audience, this
She
just
wanted
shows
too much of my attention, and I didn't have capacity to give her that attention. Yeah. Yeah.
limits within ourselves.
Correct.
And is it maybe unkind in the moment to voice this to a human being? Yes, but
100%.
better them know that what we do and do not have limits for, and capacity to give, and interest and willingness to provide, instead of dragging them along. So this is what kind of you and Elle and I were talking about at the bar last night, is that do het men of a certain age kind of like keep a lot of casuals around, a lot of like, do they resist? She was feeling into this idea of fear of secure attachment. Have you seen that? Do you see that? Do you think it's more of a developmental thing?
Yes to all of it. I feared secure attachment for such a long time because I never saw examples of healthy secure attachments. I saw like my friends' parents that were still together, most of them were just going through the motions. And these are now like boomer parents. They're all in their 70s now. And that generation's fucked up.
Yeah.
More than ours. And then my parents were a terrible example of how to treat each other. I never got to see them together. They divorced when I was like 2. I think mom left. She moved states when I was a baby. So my youngest memories are them actually yelling at each other over the phone. So I never got to see that, and I knew at a young age that I did not want to repeat that pattern. Once I heard, I've said this before on this, but like once I heard, oh, you marry your parents. No, you don't. No, I won't. And then I became hyper aware. I remember this vividly at a young age. I was a child. Where it's like, no, I will key in on those qualities that my mother possesses, and I will actually reject them. So, yeah, I was actually quick to dismiss like relationships. In my 20s, I was very self-conscious and didn't lack a lot of. I didn't have any tools. So my relationships in my 20s, I don't even really count them. It took me to my 30s before I actually started doing work on myself. And then the thought was, Trey, if you want to date 10s, aren't those 10s going to want to date 10s also? Then it's step your fucking game up. And that's what it became. It became acquiring skills, all of it. Skills, resources, whatever it is. Yeah, the acquisition game. And, you know, there's good and there's bad when it comes to that game.
Yeah.
So
we were asking each other the other day because some friends had asked me this question: what would your younger self, like little Trey, be so proud of? And we were talking about that idea of, would little Trey be so proud that he met someone, married someone and is in a healthy relationship?
100%. That's what I'd be proud of the most. And then I'm not proud that I'm not a Major League Baseball player. Little Trey would be fucking pissed. Yeah, little Trey would be like, what happened? It's like, well, you're 5'7", 150. They're a little bit bigger than that. You throw 70 miles an hour, Trey. You just weren't cut out for that line of work.
Yeah, I just think I loved that you brought in, you didn't have the tools yet. And I think there just has to be so much grace and compassion. And for anyone who listens to this podcast who's not in long-term partnership, but is looking for long-term partnership, I would say, yeah, look for people who are doing the work on themselves. We don't get to control someone else's timeline of growth and becoming and evolution. That's theirs. And I would 100% say, the moment I knew I was falling in love with you is the moment you were talking about the work that you had done and were doing on yourself. Yes, sex was great. You are fucking handsome.
Thank you.
But that was carnal. That was lust. Yay, love it. And it's good for us.
Really hot.
And when I went, was this moment at the breakfast table when you were talking about your business that you were building, the work that you had done on yourself, what you were learning. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to leave this man. Yeah. And in the same way, I hope he sees in me the type of person that I want to be, and the way I care for myself and the things that I am driven by and passionate for.
All the physical stuff aside, you were building a business, you had built a business that got acquired. You're traveling across the country to do powerful business lady things. You were doing work on yourself. When I came to, our home now, I got to see like what a good mom you were. If you weren't a good mom, I don't think I'd be here.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Like if you were like a dismissive, like, oh, she'll figure it out, mom, because I had a relationship, multi-year relationship with, single mom, I guess I have a type. And
it's the most common. It is like the hottest thing right now, MILFs.
MILFs are the hottest thing now?
On my favorite sex and psychology podcast, Justin Lee Miller, who talks about desire and fantasy and all this types of stuff. MILFs are like, they're on the rise. Trey's always, he's like,
they've been making me rise for a long time now. I got attention. I started getting attention from older women when I was like fucking 17. So I was like, I got conditioned young.
Those cougars, they knew. And I understand.
That's a podcast for a different time. We'll call it the statutory podcast.
No.
No?
It's not. No.
Edit that out. Edit that out.
Thank you. Especially just after that guy at the bar the other night.
I'm talking about me though, honey. I'm talking about me.
I know, but
there's a double standard. There is a double
I know you say
standard.
this. Yeah. For the world, yes. For this sex educator who has an ethic, no, there's not.
Okay.
Like age is age, and it is. I think it could happen. I think that great relationships exist. My godparents had a 20-year gap, and he had lived a life and made some choices and changed. It was really neat to see, but there was a lot of consent and open-hearted. Yeah, power dynamics were a thing that was talked about. Anyway, we digress. Has learning about secure connections, secure attachments, safe havens, secure base, has it given you any ahas retrospectively of your own life too?
Yeah, looking back.
Yeah, like anything that you've learned, like, oh my goodness, that's what that was.
Yeah, I mean, looking back and looking forward now, and just it's just wonderful to have a different vocabulary. Sure. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, just so much. I feel like I already regaled the audience, but you know what I've also noticed, which you and I have talked about this, is for a decade inside of my marriage, my first marriage, God bless him, was assuming that the ring on my finger, the signed marriage certificate, meant I would receive a safe haven and a secure base.
Oh, okay. So
Structure.
what Lauren is describing right now is the structure of a relationship. But that structure does not mean that those things are included whatsoever. Because plenty of people are in marriages, legal marriages, and it looks great on the outside and it's shitty indoors. Because all of those things are not, all those beautiful things that constitutes secure connection and then secure attachment are not there.
And I think now that so many people want the structural security of relationship, that define the relationship conversation. And it's not that I don't think that's an important conversation, but to assume having a title or a label, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, person I'm seeing, will provide us with those feelings of security that we are deserving of, is a shallow assumption. It's a house of cards.
Well put.
Should it? Yeah, great. Ideally, maybe. But to look for that, to be so craving of that is an illusion, is a mirage. I have several clients right now who are saying, I have the life I always wanted and I am miserable. And now we're working almost in retrospect, right? That there actually is stuff. They actually did have emotional connections, emotional security with the person or with their people. But they always thought that if I built this structure, I would have. And I understand that illusion. We're fed it in the media. We're told it by culture. Religion sure preaches it. And I was journaling last night that I think I was so devastated when I told my now ex-husband, okay, we're going to separate so that you can work on yourself, so that we can come back together. That was 100% the original intent.
Okay.
And then he did nothing. And I couldn't understand why he did nothing. And now I'm like, oh, Lauren, sweet girl. That's because it was just a structural connection. This, you two, God bless him. Now we do. I think we have actually a more secure connection now than we did before.
I agree.
It was a mirage. It was pretend.
Yeah.
There wasn't actually a secure attachment there. He was not providing me with a safe haven and a secure base. The opposite. And others could see that. But I was so a part of a culture that was like, no, the structure of marriage, the institution of marriage, family, these are the important things. But it was like an empty house. It was like going, like seeing a new construction built, and like the outside is so pretty, but you walk in and it's like nothingness.
It's shit. What you said was fascinating. You're working with clients that they built the life that they always dreamed of and they're miserable. What is the way out of that?
Number one, developing a secure attachment with self. Realizing that it is not someone else's responsibility to provide us with the security that we're craving. first and foremost. So I always tell my clients, you can leave right now. We choose partnership. We do. And I think it behooves us and it serves us to at least do the internal work on self first to see if it's the other person that's causing our misery or if it's us first. Because why blow up the relationship? Because guess what? You're going to be the same one leaving the relationship.
You can blame them. Good.
Right? So just interesting that if you don't do any work and you leave your relationship, I'm going to support you because agency first. And if you haven't done any work, that same human who hasn't done any work is going out into the marketplace to keep looking for partners. So it behooves you to do the work inside of this relationship that you think is so destroyed. Then start to see, okay, well now in this place, what do I think of this person? Do we have more of a secure connection than I thought? Do we have more of a secure base than I thought? And was I actually just reaching outside of self constantly for these things that are inherently mine? The joy I feel in the mornings when I wake up, mine. Like, love you, reach over, touch you. But when my eyes opened last night, I had all these dreams about a partnered sexual connection retreat. Like, the entire night was dreams of some retreat that I'm holding. Like, literally the whole thing kept planning out before me. That's me. Like, yes, do you provide me with this secure base to dream? Yes. But if I don't have joy and peace and delight, attunement, rituals within myself, I can't go seeking that. Like, no one else can provide that for me.
One of my most important jobs is to provide you with a secure base, to provide you with abundance versus scarcity.
Yes.
Versus like survival mode, so you can go dream.
Yes.
And then live the dream life that you want to. And then we get to do that together.
Yeah.
Where I get to do the same thing.
Yes.
Where I get to dream big, really big, obnoxious dreams together.
Yes.
Because all my dreams include you. And that's why I know you're the love of my life versus like a secure connection. Because my dreams are with you. They're celebrated with you. And that's something I've never experienced before. First time.
Fucking love you. So yeah, once a client has really found their values, aligned their choices with, these are my values, it then opens up a world of possibilities. Then we can start to look at their relationship or their life or their sex or all of these types of things.
Is there a lot of ahas where, like, say clients are like, I'm seeking all these things outside of myself and I'm trying to have my partner provide all these things that I shouldn't have them provide? Does that happen too?
Uh-huh. And
where it's like, oh shit, I'm putting so much pressure or he or she can't do anything right, or I'm criticizing them for the wrong things, where it's really, I need to turn this kind of internal criticism on myself. And
yeah, but it's the most beautiful thing. I had a client come in the other day, shout out. They sat down on the couch, plop, and they go, I had a revelation. And this exact same thing happened 2 or 3 other times. This person just used the best words, had a revelation. And I go, wow, what? Tell me. It's all the time people come in and say this. I said, what? And they go, I'm a bitch. And what they meant is what you just said. I am impossible to please. I make it so hard to provide for me because I have not figured out what it is that I truly need, want, and desire, that I have not really honed into what are my values and what are their values, and them getting to individuate inside of our partnership. Literally. And it happened, I just want this client to know because I listened to the podcast, to like 3 or 4 other people that week too. That line alone, want you to know, comforted someone later that afternoon because they were having the same revelation of, oh my God, I've been asking my partner to do all these things because I thought that's what had to happen because of the structure that we're now in. But I can do that for myself. That joy that I want, I'm the source of that? Yes. Because when 2 individual humans are overflowing in abundance in a space together, oh my goodness. And when little people that are being raised in these houses with two human beings, maybe more if you're in a throuple or a polycule or whatever, are seeing people who have different values, different outlooks on life, different personalities, different human designs, different Enneagram numbers, and who are all functioning in and of themselves independently, right? Like Lauren has these values, Trey has those values. We work like this and we love each other. And I don't want you to be me and you don't want me to be me. You want me to be me. You don't want me to be you. The baby gets to grow up seeing, oh, that's funny. Yeah, Trey does this, mom does that. And it allows the next generation to see human beings celebrating differences, celebrating polarity and not sameness, celebrating their individuation inside of partnership, however that structure looks. Because, yeah, my job to take care of me. Yes, is it the sweetest thing in the world when out of our own abundance, we are able to be like, baby, tell me your dreams, right? What's one thing that's exciting you? And how can I support you today? And all of those things. Yes, that is abundant. And that is well within my capacity to give you because I'm attending to self. I don't want to become the bitter, exhausted wife who feels like she is in service to you and that martyrdom is the highest calling. Mm-hmm. I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't want to be the same. Like the bitter husband who feels like the dynamic is off.
That has this mile-long honey-do list and is always resentful of his wife. I'm like,
because my output could be stronger in certain areas than yours. Yeah, I don't want to do that. We've had a shit ton of podcasts about that. When I get resentful of like the dynamic or the work output, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to catch those things before they start kind of festering in my head, and then I want to share them out loud. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we try to do our check-ins every single night. Mm-hmm. What was the highlight of your day? And then any ouches where it's like, hey, did I hurt your feelings? Did you hurt mine? Or any boo-boos where it's like, hey, a little bit more ridiculous or a little bit like I just need to address this little bing.
Yeah. Bing. It was like a boo-boo.
Yeah, and they're hard. They're hard for me to share sometimes, but it's bad to bottle.
And it's so cool when we don't rob someone of their agency to go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Mm-hmm. I'm really sorry. Because that's a gift to hear. But sometimes we're like, well, it's stupid. I don't even want to bring it up. Like, that's ridiculous.
That's mostly my life. That right there. Yeah. Where it's stupid. I don't want to bring it up.
And sometimes it is something that we need to slough off just on our own. And sometimes it is. I really do think that we don't need to go around criticizing our partners all the time for the things that they did wrong.
True.
No, I think you're doing really well, like bringing up things.
How you doing?
Good. Good. I think I'm really, really leaning into it's okay to have needs. I think it's really interesting, all this work that we've been doing. First, I ask myself, what do you need? Is it something you can provide? And then 2, what do you need? Is it something you would like Trey to provide? And then that becomes interesting because then I can ask myself, ooh, what might he need to be more able to provide this thing for me? So the OMGYES thing was the other thing I wanted to talk about. And this is a perfect example. I've wanted to make time for that I've talked about it how long? Like 6 months more?
Sure.
Right?
We watch it together.
I knew that I wanted to do that. So I knew it was my job to kind of make it happen and to share with you why I thought it would be hot, to share with you kind of my joy in it. And I knew probably the best time to do that would be a Sunday morning because that's when we have our space. We've kind of carved out this little ritual, this Sunday morning ritual of spending time together. Sometimes we Zillow. We always sip coffee. We always snuggle and talk. Most of the time we play the 3-minute game, which shout out. But this time I was like, I really want to bring the OMGYES videos.
Do you want to tell our gentle audience what OMGYES is?
Yes, and I will have a link below. OMGYES is an online learning platform specifically to help people with vulvas and vaginas and clitorises learn more about pleasure. And it is a one-time purchase type of thing. Again, I'll link it below. And yes, I 100% get a kickback. I think it's like 10%. And there's a deal going on right now, I'm pretty sure. And you get It's 3 main pages. That's like the basics, internal, and then like additional, like playful different things. And so there's three pages, and then within the 3 pages, there's just like a category, subcategories. You click on one, you learn about something. I always tell my clients what's so sweet about these is none of these are real names for things. These are just things that enough people said the same thing. So the producers were like, oh, they're all talking about this. These are not like official diagnoses or names that I, as a sex educator, are like, yes, shallowing. That's just enough women use the word shallow penetration that it came up with a term.
Shallowing?
Yeah, which is what I love, honey. It's that thing where I talk about like the first third of the vagina, not the like latter 2/3. So many more nerve endings.
Shallowing's very important.
Shallowing is very important. You're now an expert in shallowing because of my knowledge of my own body, but also because of these women. What happens when we normalize and validate someone's own lived experience? Every time I show these to clients, because I have an educator account and can show clients all the time in sessions, they'll go, oh. I'm like, what's that face for? And they go, that's exactly how I feel. But I just didn't know that I could say it. I didn't know that I could advocate for myself in that way.
So summing it up, OMGYES, badge talk?
Vag talk. That's what it also could be called. Vag talk.
Vag talk.
The reason why I think it's so neat to watch with partners is it is women demonstrating on themselves, oftentimes with their favorite toys. So there are no penises around, and yet these women are showing often with their dildos what they like done with a penis. So there's not a lot of bodies around. It's not threatening in any way, shape, or form. It's very graphic. It is very demonstrative.
How do you feel about lack of representation for the male body when it comes to these things?
I think we're going to be okay. I think this is maybe...
Oh, so we should just like deal with it?
No. I think that also we can talk about other platforms that deal with penis pleasure in a different conversation. But right now we were just talking about this one. It's okay. One thing does not negate all the other things. I actually had someone on YouTube the other day say, I don't appreciate it that you have a video of toys for vulvas, but not a video of toys for penises. And I said, thank you for that feedback.
I couldn't agree more with that with that person.
They said, this is not comprehensive. I agree.
I'm an advocate for comprehensiveness as well. So thank you to the person who made that comment.
We'll talk more about Beducated, at a different platform, in a podcast to come because of some exciting news, but we're not doing that right now. The videos really do help talk about clitoris and clitoral stimulation and vaginal penetration. I will say this. The penis being an organ that's on the outside of the body is just so much easier to see and understand. Most young men in male bodies, identifying as male, started masturbating when they were really young, have always kind of learned how to stimulate their primary pleasure organ. I celebrate it. The clitoris is internal. The vaginal is internal. It's a lot more mysterious. So sometimes we need more education about this thing. So OMGYES is seriously all about that. But I wanted you to watch some videos with me. A, because I think it can be an erotic turn on to watch people stand in their pleasure. B, because there's some really fun things on there that I wouldn't even really do a good job of explaining. And I do this every day, all day. How did it feel to watch some of these with me?
Oh, it was so fun. Yes, definitely an erotic turn on because it's like the presence of the third.
Yeah.
So it's you and I in a room and then like on a screen. And then it's like OMGYES, in my interpretation, was like a very practical women just talking about how they pleasure themselves or how they've come to learn about their body over the years. And it's like, hey, this is what I do, and it's very lovely.
Yeah.
And then it gets put into categories, like you said, where it's like there's certain categories of women talking about their own self-pleasure. And yeah, it's almost like this is not how you do this. It's almost like this is for me. This is what I do for me. And then it's very sexy. where we get to kind of play together as we're learning about these things.
Yeah.
It's very hot.
So probably TMI, but that's this podcast. What I really wanted to experience was Trey's hands on my body while watching these videos, because all at once he's saying like this, does this feel good? And I was able to say yes, no, move around. It's like having a sex coach there in the room with you, but not as threatening because it's just another person. It's not a sex coach.
It's much more practical than it is like erotic.
Yeah.
It's still erotic because it's the human body, but it's much more like, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And then there are ones where women are saying, I was with a partner and all of a sudden I realized that and so people are talking about their partnered sex that they're having, which is really helpful.
And the majority of videos are actually fully clothed and just actual communication or like showing on an examples. And then certain videos will say explicit on it. And from what I saw, it's just a woman pleasuring herself with her top on.
Yep.
So
there's some where they're literally, you can tell everything was in the person's hands who wanted to do this educational video. So some people are completely naked because that's how they feel best. Some people are wearing a dress, and it is lovely because it so normalizes. It is very age inclusive. It is body inclusive. It is race inclusive. It is a really neat platform.
We always use the analogy where it's like porn is like watching the Fast and the Furious videos, and that's how you learn how to drive a car. Where this is practical and instructional and lovely and advanced. This is an advanced way of seeking like healthy pleasure.
If porn is like Fast and Furious,
correct.
This is like going to driver's ed. Yeah. Because this is actual tangible. On the screen are also like animations with drawing. There are statistics. There are like Jack Moran, my attraction plus obstacle equals excitement has mentioned.
If you're trying to stimulate a vulva, and it's really about that other person's pleasure, this is a valuable asset.
Super fun. People talk about toys. There's an anal pleasure one. There's expanding like girth and stuff like that one. There's squirting. There's, stimulating while one is being penetrated. There so many masturbatory techniques, though, that I think is very important for people with vulvas to learn, because most of us trained ourselves to orgasm through masturbation as quickly and as quietly as we possibly could. And on another one, we can talk about male masturbation and different ways to be more embodied through that. But it's really beautiful when we start to see our bodies as like, I don't know, these incredible things. And when we start to expand and get curious with different forms of touch, and when we educate our male-bodied partners on how to touch us and how to stimulate us, and that's what felt really fun to me, is that my body is ever evolving. What I like should be ever evolving. It shouldn't be that Trey has like mastered me. It should be, oh baby, can you try this? And sometimes it's a massive fail. I think we talked on here about how I wanted to be like pounded at the peak of my orgasm, and we tried it like 3 or 4 times.
It worked a couple of times, and then it didn't. And then you had a bad cum.
It was so bad. So bad. But there's laughter and joy in that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the gifts of long-term partnership should be, can we try this?
Yeah.
And being more about the curious adventure as opposed to the outcome. And yeah, OMGYES is just, if you're looking for a tool that is not threatening in any way and kind of like baby steps into maybe watching porn together, which we can talk about that full on in a different episode. OMGYES is just a great way. It is like going to driver's ed for people with vulvas who enjoy being pleasured.
Agreed.
Oh, it was great. It was hot. We had good sex afterwards too.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but my orgasm was fantastic because I got a nice, slow, long build up. So it was very nice.
Good.
It was very nice.
Good. Babe.
Anything else you want to talk about today,
I
buddy?
don't think so. I think we covered it. I think we did it, babe.
We're done.
Yeah,
Did
we're done,
another
did it.
party, what? Thank you for coming to this episode of the Partnership Podcast. Please remember, these are all opinions. Take what you like, leave the rest. If you were intrigued by something said here today, you can go to sexedforyou.com/free consult. I would love to chat with you about what you're looking for and to see if we might be a good fit or not. On sexedforyou.com, if you click on services, you can see all the different ways that I do work with people, work with individuals, partners, yada, yada. Please, remember, you have a right to informed decision making. You have a right to disagree with everything we said today. We support you. We support you. You can click below into the caption, and that will have all of the resources that we mentioned today. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.